Hey guys, it's Looch, and Epix, a channel that I'd never heard of until this documentary started getting promoted, has a 4-part series documentary entitled Punk. And it's produced by Iggy Pop and also, irony alert, the designer John Varvatos. Now, John Varvatos took over the space of CBGB's, and it's now a retail store on the Bowery selling $98 shirts. So that's a little crazy. But what it does is it's 4 parts, which takes you from the very beginnings, which most people agree was Detroit, which was the MC5 and the Stooges. And it then goes to New York, Ramones, New York Dolls, Blondie, that whole scene of CBGB's. And there isn't a lot, I was thinking about this, if you aren't a fan or if you haven't read all these books and nerded out like I have my whole life, you're not going to learn a lot. It's just that it's kind of cool to see these people today and then to see the juxtaposition of them in their prime, Mola. And they go from New York, part 2 goes to England. And there's the debate because the Sex Pistols and the Damned, Malcolm McLaren, who was behind sort of a lot of the Sex Pistols image and their look, really stole it from the New York Dolls. And Sylvain of the New York Dolls says that Malcolm promised him a spot in this great new band he was going to put together. And as Sylvain says, I'm still waiting for that call. So they go to England, and to appreciate John Lydon, Johnny Rotten, he is a cartoon a little bit now, but there's still sort of, I guess, what you'd call the punk ethos. There's that punk spirit, and that's sort of the debate throughout this whole documentary. Is punk a sound? Is it a style? Is it a attitude? Is it all of the above? And is punk dead? And some people think yes, some people think no. Part 3 was my least favorite, maybe, only because it was the LA hardcore scene, which to me was so testosterone-y and so violent that it kind of took away from the music, I thought. But they do start with one of my favorite bands in Washington, D.C., the Bad Brains, who were so incredible live that even Dave Grohl, who of course is in this documentary, claims that they're still the greatest band he's ever seen live, and we know that he's seen a few bands. So they go through the hardcore scene with Black Flag and the Germs and Circle Jerks, but again, like I said, it's very dude-centric. And out of that dude-centric violence of the hardcore scene, women emerged, and women with a point of view and who wanted to be taken seriously as musicians, as they should, and didn't want to have to play the certain games that had been played. They keep talking about this too, like, where's this rule book that everyone refers to, the punk rock rule book? Well, screw that. L7 is a huge part of it. Penelope Spheris, who made The Decline of the Western Civilization, the filmmaker, she is interviewed in this as well. Joan Jett, who produced the first Germs record, and out of that Riot Girl movement. And that is the nod to the women that is well-deserved within that. And there were a lot of women, even in the earlier days, the Slits, and obviously Debbie Harry wasn't like a super punk rocker, but she was certainly part of that, and Patti Smith. And in this particular documentary, the women artists are maybe a little underrepresented. Of course, there is the homage to Exene Cervenka of X, and a lot of the women that were a part of this scene. But yeah, it ebbs and it flows, and there's just periods where it's just more of a sausage fest. From that, part 4, I was kind of hoping, but yep, we hear from The Offspring, we hear from Billy Joe from Green Day, and perhaps I think one of the best parts of it is in part 4, basically when punk broke through the skate videos and surf videos of California, that Josh Homme, of all people, says there is no reason to apologize for making great music that a lot of people liked. And it's sort of in defense of Green Day, who were the first band that really busted through on a big label and took a lot of crap for it. It's a 4-part series. Like I said, it's really, you're not going to learn a ton, but almost more punk and more interesting was the press junket that happened before this aired. And it might have even been at South by Southwest, but it was a panel with Henry Rollins, Johnny Rotten, Marky Ramone, Duff McKagan. And Rotten is hammered and is just sparring with absolutely everyone on the panel and insulting Henry Rollins, which is funny. Henry's great, but he and Marky Ramone go at it, and it's comical, it's aggressive, and it's kind of punk rock. So honestly, if you find yourself going, oh, that wasn't quite as great as I wanted it to be, RollingStone.com has the entire interview press junket online for you to watch, and that to me is punk.